Hi guys, it's me from Xcaranza, and in this video we're back with the City Skylines series. So in the last part, as you may remember, we created this new bit of residential for people to move into. So in this part we're going to try and get to the requirement with a high density, and we're going to build a high density area in the city. So we have 6,038 with a loss of 30 residents per day. But that can be turned around quite quickly. And also down in this area we do have a demand for the industrial, but I don't want to try and creep it up into this zone up here. So what we're going to do is going to buy a new area. We're going to buy the area down here, so we can then expand the industrial down here so that it creep into the city and cause pollution in our city. So we're going to expand this road by 800, and we're going to bring it up to there, to the connection point. And in here we're going to be adding some industrial, and we might add just a few offices when we get to the 7,000. But before we do that, we'll have to connect up the pipes, so the water can flow around this area. So now we're going to add in the industrial zone. We're going to add it around there to make sure we optimize the industrial that we have in the city. So now we're going to try and find an area to put some more residential, since we have a slight demand for a slight bit of residential zone in. So we might as well just build a bit of residential coming down here. We're going to expand this by 680 and do the same on the other side. And then join these up together. And then we could be putting the road going across to join them up. To put a road going through, and then that to be another area for some residential. Although it does mean that we won't be able to expand our bus depot, but that doesn't matter because we can build another one somewhere else in the city in the future. So now we have a slightly residential, so now we're going to up the game speed to ×3, and that should start the upgrade. So now just remember we just need to add some water pipes in. But then we should be just about okay with this bit down here. So these should be now spawning them. And if in the future we can move the industrial to the other side of the highway when the city expands going downwards. So I'm going to add in a high school into the city. This area up here are needing a high school. So I'll put it down up here. But it will have to destroy some buildings, which doesn't matter because there'll be more people wanting to come into the city because of the high school. The healthcare is an alright coverage. But these residents here are wanting some more garbage. So we're going to check on this garbage plant, which is empty. And that one is 66% full. So that one is turned off temporarily, but these ones are still complaining, so now we are going to turn it back on. And we're going to tell them to stop emptying. So now we should get some more garbage into the city. So now these areas should start to generate some residential. But the buses want to be using the roads at the moment. There should be a power connection going to this part of the city, so the residents can start to appear into the city. So we're going to add a bit more places for people to live in the city in the future. So we're going to check how big I built this road. So that's 880. So we'll be able to run that by, again, the same 880 and build it all the way up here until we can get the connections joined all the way up there. That does destroy those boulders, but that doesn't matter because they're getting in the way of the city anyway. So we have the population of 6,400, so we are creeping ever so slightly near the high density areas. So this area down here will be for the high density residents that we will get into the city, and we might take a bit of low density out and then relocate it with some high density. And that will add more residents into the city, just making the populations of the city slightly bigger, which all in all is quite good in our city. So I think this area down here, which I'm going to de-zone, will be one of the sections for the high density when we get the high density in the future of the city. So I'm going to de-zone these two areas here. So now we're just waiting for the high density residents to appear in the city. So now we do have a massive demand, but we'll be having to wait until we grow the city slightly bigger. So I actually think we should put that back temporarily, but when we get to the amount we need for the high density, we will be adding that into the city. So these are now zoning in quite fast because the demand for the residents is very high at the moment. And so we're going to check on the coverage of the leisure, and that is quite high until we got up to here, because we did remove a leisure activity. So now we are going to re-add a leisure, which gives that part of the city some good coverage on the leisure. So now we are at a population of 6,541, and these are upgrading ever so slightly now into slightly more high density buildings. So now we are just about getting towards the 7,000, and there appears to be down here like a little fire, and one of these buildings is on fire. So this should be spawning in quite nicely now. To optimize the space, I'll be adding a lower road going in from up there. I'll expand the road coming down here, or go out there, by 720 on this side and 720 on the other side, and that could be some other places for the residents to live. They're going to do 720 on the other side and do the same down here. And we're going to connect these two roads together. That one will cut off the power line, which will make the residents complain of a lack of power. So we are going to reconnect the power line around the road, and then these residents will stop complaining of the lack of power. Put some more residential into this area. So I'm going to pause the game time for a moment, and we will be building down here by 600. And now we're going to try and connect these two roads back up. So I'll just go down here by 600 and do the same there, and connect these two down the centre, which will disrupt the power line. So we're going to have to build a power line down beneath this road, which doesn't matter because we can do that quite easily. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some water into this part of the city, and that will allow these residents to take in the water from the city's water network. So connect it to there. That's all connected up, so now we're just going to need to reconnect the power lines at a safe distance around. So we're now just going to delete that power line. Put that away. So now we have just relocated the power line at a safe distance. So these residents here are complaining of garbage problems. So now we're going to add in some more low density residents down here. And that should help us get to the high residents. And for some reason these are all complaining of a garbage problem. This one is 77% full, so we will be having to add another garbage area into the city. So we're going to add, for safekeeping, we're going to be adding into two to this area down here, and that should hopefully give us enough bin wagons to get us the capacity of the citizens before they all start running away. So now we are at 686, and we do have now a demand for the commercial. I'm just going to build it down there. Connect these two rows up here. And now we will be having to rebuild that power line because we did disconnect it accidentally. Just connect it to there. And then now we can get rid of that bit of power line. And in this area here we can start adding in some of the some of the commercial. We'll add a second row down there, but that won't work. We'll just leave it like that. We'll do the same on the other side. So now in this little area there's going to be some low density commercial buildings, and that will help us get the extra demand for the low density commercial. I'll add some in there as well. And a bit more low density coming through in here. And we'll do the same in here. And we'll add some in to the park as well. And a little bit there. And that's just optimising all the space for the commercial buildings. So we do have a population of 700 or 7,000. We will actually need to be going to the 7,500 before we can get into the high density. So we're going to add a bit of low density commercial or low density residential down here. And then when we get to the high density we can build some extra areas for the high density residents. And we're just going to put some commercial around here. So now we do have a population of 7,090. We do have an increase of 32 residents per day. But we still do have this garbage issue. But we are just waiting for the incinerators for the city, which will come when we get one of the population goals. So for now we're just going to be adding some extra area into our first district of the city. Like that. We're going to do the same down here and put some more area into the industrial zone. And the population of the city is growing quite quickly, and we do have a power issue in the city, so we'll pause the game time and we'll add in a coal power plant, which isn't actually which isn't satisfying the need of the power. And we'll add 3 extra coal power plants into the city, and that is only satisfying it. So I'll add into another one, and that is meeting the demand. So we do have a bit of crime in this part of the city. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a police station down here, which will obviously destroy a building, but that can just respawn back in quite easily. So we still have police coverage over here, and slight coverage down there, so we're going to add another one down here. So we're going to add in a medical care if we don't have any coverage down here, which is that we don't have any coverage down in this area. And the coverage gets a bit weak because of here, so we're going to add one there as well. So in the future we will be adding the hospital into the city, but that's going to come in at a later time. So we still have the 2 parks, which are not doing much at this point, but they will be doing something in the future. So we are losing 7 residents per day, and now we need to add the water into the other side of the expansion of the city, which will make the residents happier. Now we have got a gain of 2 residents per day, and that's going to increase, and that's going to decrease for some reason. Then it's going to increase, and now we've got loads of abandoned buildings in the city because the garbage is not being met. And we will have to build a secondary entry into the city because this one is clogging up quite badly. And now let's go see what the other end is looking like. Yeah, and this is where all the bin trucks are, and this is quite bad. So we'll have to add a secondary entry, and we'll have to redesign the whole of the intersection of the city if we want to try and get a city with a good population. But I'll be upgrading the intersection between the episodes, and I'll do some work on this industrial area here, and we can get it with a new interchange which comes straight onto the highway, which will be easier for the traffic to flow in the city. So we are very close to our high density residents, and we do have a death in the city, but we can't sort that out until we get a crematorium where we get a high enough population, and we'll be adding one of those with our high density. And now we do have our high density population, and we can add a university into the city. So we're going to add in the, see if we can't add the crematorium just yet. So what I'm going to do here is I will be pausing the game and dezoning all this area, and then we can be, oh, it'd just be quicker to just select the whole entire box and dezone, so they will slowly start to fizzle away. And we can do the same down here, and this area will also be some high density population, so they will slowly start to fizzle out. So now we get the fill tool back in, so that's going to fill back in. So I might as well just get the select tool because it'd be slightly easier. So we're going to do 4 high density on each side, and then we're going to do a couple of high density commercial in the city. And that should do us for today's episode. So in between parts I will be upgrading the highway entrance into the city to give it a much better flowing city. So we need to be adding some roundabouts into that. So that will also help the traffic flow much better, is if we have the roundabouts in the city. So I should add a big roundabout in the entrance of the city, and then that could be where the entrance to the into the industrial zone is. So now this is all going to fizzle out, and we're going to lose our 7,500 population. But we are going to get some upgrades into the city, and we're going to have some high density residents. I'm just going to get rid of that one as well. So now we are seeing a need for the high density residents, and we have a slight power issue down here, only because that's a hospital and that one there doesn't need to be there, and the hospital will get the power back when the residents decide to turn up. So now our first few high density buildings are spawning into the city, and we do have an increase of 18 residents per day, 23 residents. And we'll have to sort this out one day. So guys, if you did indeed like that part of the series, I do know it's been a bit choppy today, but so if you like this part, like, subscribe and share. I've been X Kranzer. Goodbye.